Here we go, round two. Hopefully, I last time I think I started one of these, I started my live and I think it was unlisted. So here we go. We're public. I hope that y'all are doing fantastic. I hope that you're doing well. How's the fragrance world? How's the fragrance life? I'm happy to see all of y'all. Hopefully, y'all somebody will pop in here real quick. But I hope that y'all have had a great weekend. Hope things are going well for you. I hope that y'all are smelling good, smelling great, and just taking it easy. Um, fragrance to me is a form of almost escapism in a way where we can just take it easy. We can escape the stress of the world, and we can explore and have something new. Something fun, something to look forward to. And I don't know, do y'all feel the same way about fragrance? For me, fragrance, that's something I always look forward to. But I'm looking forward to see who's here. I see two people pop in. What's your scent of the day? Three people. I know I didn't schedule this one out. I'm sorry, guys. I try to schedule these and actually let y'all know when I'm going live. But y'all know that 6 p.m. Saturdays, I'm always going to be here. I try to make it 6 p.m. Central Fridays as well, but sometimes Fridays are busy. So just taking it easy. Casey says, to the days Japur Homme by Boucheron. Great fragrance, highly underrated. It is more on that Fougere style. Some people might feel it's a little bit more old school, but that J Pur is a great fragrance. I think I had the EDT version. I might be tempted. I might get the EDT sometime, but it's really good. I do find it a little mature for in my opinion, but it's highly underrated. It's a great fragrance for the money, no doubt about it. Hey Charles, hey, how you doing? Hi, bro. Hey Ben. Hey Randy. Hey everybody. I'm Charlie Brown. Oh, you're Charlie Brown. Well, you're a good friend. I appreciate you. On Instagram, you're awesome. I love chatting with you. How's the fragrance life going for y'all? Did y'all have a? Are y'all having a good weekend? Are y'all taking it easy? I just had some wings and some fries. I love wings, so that was pretty good. I always try to get them as crispy as possible, so like them crispy and like them spicy. But I don't know. I like to cook. Do y'all? I feel like a lot of us in the fragrance community like to experiment with other things. They have like a taste for life and enjoy life in a really, really big way. So a lot of people know how to play guitar. A lot of people are artists, who are in the fragrance community. There's some people, I don't know what positions they have, but they seem to be in business one way or the other. So it's kind of fun to see the creativity that some people can have. So Casey says, can you discuss oud fragrances? What is oud all about, and what are some good options? That's a really good question. I'll talk about oud some more, and I'll give you all some explanations. Some people, I won't name him because people think I'm throwing shade if I name somebody. He's a fellow fragrance reviewer, and I actually really, really like the guy. But on one of my lives, he was asking, "What's all the hype, or why do people care so much about oud?" I don't think he likes oud very much, and some people are kind of tired about all the hype around oud. It's just a very exotic note to a lot of Western noses. It's something different, something that a lot of people, most people haven't heard about. If you're deep into the fragrance hobby, I mean, you've heard about Aventus and Aventus clones like me, and you're probably tired of hearing about Aventus. And it's probably similar with oud. There's lots of people talk about oud and oud this, oud that, oud flankers, and it can get annoying. But most people, Western nose wise, like in America, haven't smelled oud, don't know what oud is. And all what oud is, and y'all can Google this for yourself, it's a certain type of tree. There's a lot of people think oud just comes from the Middle East. It comes from a lot of places. There's oud in the Philippines. There's oud in Indonesia. There's oud actually China as well. So it's really just a certain type of tree, and when that certain tree tries to fight off a fungal infection, it produces a certain type of resin, like a sap, and that sap and it's the reaction of that tree is essentially what oud is. So if you were just to use the tree and chop it down and use it, it wouldn't smell much of anything like oud at all. But once, a lot of oud, plantation oud, this is done by man, it's done by hand, and they'll inject that type of fungus into the plant, I mean into the tree, and as the tree tries to fight off that fungal infection, it'll create that resin as it tries to fight off that fungus and the smell, I guess, of the fungus or whatever parasite that is. That's what the smell of oud is. So It's really interesting. It's really really interesting. A lot of people do worry about oud. This is also another interesting fact related to it about oud in the future. You know, conserving nature. The perfume industry, or just as a whole, we as humanity made a lot of things go extinct, and you know, we sometimes overharvest, and some of the plantation oud fields are next to actually natural forest, and spreads, you know, that thing, you know, the fungus or whatever parasite it is kind of spreads it faster and accelerates the growth. And a lot of people have kind of, or I guess mankind, you know, just like a wildfire, it kind of spreads a little bit faster than intentional. And a lot of people are worried that a lot of these natural ouds will go or become rare or hard to get in the future, more expensive. So one reason oud is so expensive is because the wild stuff, the desirable stuff, is it's just wild. It's not that common, and it's in rare, you know, kind of places that's, I guess, uncommon, hard to get to, and there's just not a lot of these plants. Some of my favorite oud is like tropical rainforest, kind of leaning, or subtropical from the Philippines. It has more of like a earthy patchouli smell with a little bit of mintiness off the top almost. I really like it. Anyways, hope that gave you a taste of what oud is all about. You can go and read and search a little bit more if you'd like. If you're wondering about the smell and you've never smelled oud before, it can smell all kinds of different ways. It can smell medicinal. It can smell like a band-aid, similar to Gucci Guilty Absolute, if you've ever smelled that before. It can also the smell more of just like a woody or leathery type of smell, but a lot of people get scared of oud because it can end up smelling barnyard like, or animalic. And a lot of people in the West, especially in the USA, do not like that really strong, pungent and animalic note. But it's kind of interesting because in the past, with fragrances all around the world, animalics used to be a little bit more common in fragrances. People used to feel like that note was very sensual, and I guess as a whole, animalics used to be a lot more appreciated. Yatagan is still a great fragrance. Maybe if you're a gentleman or you want to get a taste of what an animalic fragrance can be, Yatagan or Yatagan, however you say it's still out there for quite a fair price, and it's a kind of an underrated fragrance. It's pretty well done. So I would suggest that one. Again, if y'all are looking for first suggestions an oud fragrance, Hugo Boss bottled oud, I've always suggested that fragrance for a first oud or an easy oud to love. I For the ladies, or maybe you do like vanilla fragrances yourself, Rogba by the House of Latafa is a kind of like a vanilla dominant kind of clone or adaptation of Oud Bouquet by Lancome, and I've always suggested that one. I think 24 Gold, or even the 24 Gold Oud Edition by Scent Story, is really, really good. That one's kind of hard to get. I don't know if it's discontinued or not, but you can still find it on Fragrance by CA. So that one's really, really good as well. So hopefully that gave you all introduction. You can get deep into the world of oud if you ever want to. It gets very, very expensive. I just feel like it's exotic and it's very interesting. And if you're somebody who likes woody notes, you might just fall in love with oud, because there's a lot more to oud than just barnyard and animalics. There's a lot more that oud has. That's why I find it so interesting. I just reconnected there for a second. Can y'all still hear me? Is everything fine? And when I refresh the screen, am I making an annoying noise? Last time, or a couple times I recorded ago, every time I touch the screen to refresh, which I have to do to see your comments, I think I was making a clicky noise. It was really annoying people. It's one of my most disliked videos I've ever had. I had 8 likes and 8 dislikes. And I don't know what's happened in the world of YouTube. I don't know who likes me or dislikes me. I don't know what's going on, but my last bunch of videos, I actually have a lot of dislikes. There's a lot of people who are really disliking my content. So if y'all let me know, have I offended somebody, or have I said something wrong? Please let me know. I'm sorry if I did. Joe San says hello. Charles says scent of the day is whiskey by Elevore Floor. Hey, I've never tried that one, but I do like a good whiskey note, Charlie. How you doing? That whiskey business. How's it work for you? That sounds really good. And Randy says wings. Oh yes, beautiful, gorgeous wings. Y'all know that I love my hot wings and spicy wings, and all the other wings. I made Hawaiian wings last time, and they ended up turning out really good. Jamaican jerk wings are really good, and I'm always a big fan of garlic. So there's the garlic hot wings. Big fan of that. So, anyways, how's everybody doing this weekend? Have y'all bought any fragrances? Have y'all been into anything new? I've been buying a little bit too much recently, but I'm slowing down now. I'm trying to build myself up and trying to figure out what I want to do with some of my arts and crafts, how I'm going to build up perhaps a fragrance company, and I'm actually going to start and maybe make a soap company first, or maybe that's how I'll first get into fragrances, because I really believe in natural soap, and I think a lot of people don't know about natural soap. I know there's a lot of small people on I guess I wouldn't even say it was small. There's established companies, there's people on Etsy, and there's people on Instagram selling soap. But I'd like to do something a little bit different, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So look forward to that. Anyways, five people are here. How you doing? How's the fragrance life, everybody? Have y'all had a good week? Anything new? Anything fun? Anything different? For me, since it's been a little bit hot here, I've started transitioning to my citrus fragrances. I've started transitioning to those lighter, brighter scents, even though I miss those darker scents. And I still sometimes when I stay indoors, especially at night, I still wear some of my gourmands and some of my heavier scents. Y'all know that I tend to like those. And I do have a summer fragrance list coming for y'all, a summer list of fragrances. I know that some of y'all have really been wanting that, and sometimes I'm really fast to give y'all a summer list, but I felt like I had to be genuine and true to myself. I didn't want to push out a list just for the sake of putting out a list. So I have one in the works for y'all. It's I don't know when I'll upload it. It might be sometime next week. So, do you have a favorite clone or inspired house? I don't know. I don't know which one would be my favorite. I think Alexandria does a pretty good job. They're pretty dependable for the most part. But if I had to choose one clone house as a whole, I want to try more of the Middle Eastern houses. I might fall in love with some of them. But so far, it's a house called Zoha. And funny enough, they're out of Canada. So I don't know. Some of these Canadian guys are doing a good job. So I really like the House of Zoha for the most part. They got some interesting things. Their fragrances last a long time. Some of them are pretty well done. So I'm a pretty big fan of Zoha. And they don't have. I don't think they're as big or as popular as like Dua or Alexandria, but they have a pretty big catalog and they're doing a pretty good job over there. So Casey says, how many different colognes will you wear in any given day? Do you shower when you switch scents, or do you later? Um, I I usually wear one scent a day unless I'm testing. Sometimes I have like 10 fragrances on me, and I'm just testing tons of things. It really depends. In the summer, I tend to wear a fresher fragrance in the morning. Something it usually, even a good citrus might last you 5, 6, 7 hours. It's not going to be most of the citrus fragrances just last forever. And then if I want to smell good during the evening, if I want to hang out, if I just want to, go somewhere, do something, a date or whatever, and I have a pull out a good date fragrance, so or a night fragrance. So that's how I go about it. I might at most wear 2 scents a day, and even if it's not the summer, sometimes I wear a fragrance that gives me 6, 7, maybe 8 hours in the morning, and then when it comes around like evening time, I might reapply the fragrance or just wear a different fragrance. So that's how I go about it. Do y'all wear multiple fragrances at once? Do y'all wear a lot of fragrances in the day? I know some people like to go to bed wearing a fragrance. I have lavender essential oil and a few things like that, but I usually don't wear a actual fragrance to go to bed. A lot of my fragrances to me are kind of energizing. They kind of help wake me up and they put me in a certain mood. So I mean, some of them are relaxing, but they put me, I kind of want, to me, fragrance is like emotion. And I'm going, like, I'll put on a new fragrance. I want to go out and like do something or go somewhere or maybe dress up and look a certain way. To me, most of my fragrances in my collection, I wouldn't really want to apply it and go to sleep. It's kind of the opposite of what I do or how I think. But more power to you if you have some dedicated, go to bed fragrances. So Let me see here. Hopefully that answered the question pretty well, Casey. Says layer, and if I do layer throughout the day, I'll just use like one type of layering oil, and then I'll spray a regular fragrance on top of it. I usually don't use two stand fragrance, actual like name brand fragrances with each other, unless they're very similar or complementary. And most of the time, I only try that with my heavier fragrances for the winter. But more power to you if you find a combination that works for you. Some fragrances are more of top notes, and some fragrances are more of the base note, so they can kind of work together, and you can kind of make them work. And that's always a fun thing when you find a good combination. So, see here, I like to buy new fragrances the sh- at the shoppings because I like to do a test drive first before I buy. I'm waiting for the reopening. Yeah, exactly. I think it's good to test fragrances before you buy. I'm guilty. I blind buy an awful lot. I think a lot of us do, but it is smart to, especially if you live in a bigger city, and even if you don't, you can go to the mall and smell most of the designer fragrances. If you do live in a bigger city, you can probably find a nice fragrance boutique and smell all of these fragrances. Maybe even get a sample and try out all these fragrances before you actually buy them. Skin chemistry is a thing. You might like the opening and might like dry down, or vice versa. You might not like the opening, and then you disregard the fragrance. But if you actually give it a chance, the dry down might be gorgeous. I am getting to the point where I'm very picky, where I don't want to suffer through a bad dry down, or vice versa, a bad opening to get to a good dry down or whatever it is. But there are a few fragrances I've smelled that maybe they're kind of chaotic. Maybe they don't smell bad, but they're just a little bit chaotic for 5 minutes or so on your skin, and then the magic happens. And if it's only 5 minutes, fragrance is a little bit chaotic. I mean, hey, that's not bad at all. So yeah, I definitely feel you there. I try to avoid blind buying, but if you're getting cheapies or if you're getting fragrances that are a little bit less common, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I blind buy all the time if I buy fragrances. So, Casey says, I'm terrible at picking my own fragrances. My nose is bad. I need to get advice and blind buy. Well, Casey, I hope that I can help you get more confident with your nose. I'm definitely here to help you. Um, I definitely want you to have confidence in your own nose and your own taste and experience. You can learn fragrance. You can learn, and that's what my channel is all about, helping you wear what you love. So hopefully you smell enough fragrances and you enjoy them, that you actually enjoy them, and find those fragrances that you really like. I don't know anything about your nose, but I believe most people have the potential to smell fragrances and understand them. So can you name some of those uplifting, invigorating scents? Um, I don't own it, but if you're looking for summer scents, Pomelo Paradis by Atelier is a really happy-go-lucky fragrance. Some of the ones that in my collection that are really happy for me is Caligna by Les Artisans Parfumeurs. Baticuda is really good for them as well. Terre d'Hermes Eau Très Fresh always puts me in a good mood. I really like my Dolce Gabbana Swimming in La Paris for a happy scent. And Starry Nights, for some reason, I got that one recently from Montal. That one puts me in a good mood as well. So let's see. The dry down is more important to me than the opening. Exactly. The dry down is usually, I mean, the opening of a fragrance usually doesn't last that long. It might depend on the fragrance and how it's, I guess, and how it's constructed. But a lot of the times, the top notes are kind of fleeting and they're just introduction, and then they kind of go away, and then you get the dry down, and that's what really matters. So sometimes you really got to test fragrances off your skin and not just judge a fragrance on the top notes or the first impression. If you're buying fragrances based off first impressions, a lot of these designer fragrances at the mall might deceive you because they're made to capture or to get people like that who just go to the mall, spray it on a tester strip, spray it on their hand, or just smell it for a couple seconds. Things like Polo Red, That one's probably one of the most infamous one for beautiful top notes. It smells of super high quality, but then it's kind of short lived and the fragrance kind of goes away rather quickly. And the fragrance really doesn't transition or change a lot. It doesn't seem to have much of any mid or base notes. So don't buy into a fragrance just because of the top. The dry down is where it's at. That's what you're gonna smell, and what people are gonna smell off of you is mostly just the dry down. So that's what really matters, and that's also a big factor with the performance. If a fragrance gives you really good projection for the first 30 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it is, that's all good. But then if it dies down and becomes a skin scent, you know, for the rest of the fragrance, that could be a big letdown. So also, that's I think that's a factor we all have to be aware of. So, but great points. We're getting into some great discussions. Any more questions or thoughts? I don't know. For me, I just got I did have one fragrance that kind of converted me. It's Enrico GI. It's the Oud Privé. It's not much of an oud fragrance. I'll make a review of that one soon. Y'all probably haven't heard about it. It's a hidden gem. And the first couple seconds of the fragrance to me were kind of chaotic, but it ended up being gorgeous. I don't know if y'all saw my review of Turbulent recently by Nick Ricardo. I think I put that out this week, but that fragrance is really well done as well. But the first couple minutes or so are a little bit on the chaotic side. I do have to admit, a little bit chaotic. So, but then it dries down and it becomes absolutely gorgeous. So, what's your take on Chanel Platinum Egoist? I really do like Platinum Egoist. It's one of my favorite. I kind of want to call it a retro fragrance, but I just call it a classic. I think it stands up to Dior Fahrenheit, Eau Sauvage, and those fragrances. It's a little bit sweet. It smells like it's almost like a sharp, sweet, almost like a ambergris musk, powdery kind of thing, almost going on. But it smells pretty crystalline and has I like the quality of it. I think it's very classy and upscale. It might come off as linear or not that interesting if you want a lot of complexity. But I think Platinum Egoist is just a classy smell. And it's pretty well complemented too. Funny enough, linear scents, things that really don't change that much and might not seem like that exciting to a lot of us fragrance people, have gotten me the most compliments. And I've mentioned it a couple times. I'll mention it again. But guess Seductive Noir. I don't know why. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, but that and Nautica Voyage are like my most complimented fragrances. And I don't really wear fragrances for compliments, but I know a lot of people do, and that's what a lot of people go for. And um, if you wanted the most affordable fragrances for the money, and you just wanted to get compliments and smell good to other people, buy Nautica Voyage for the day and get Seductive Noir for the night, and you will be set. And you'll probably be able to get out like a bandit for less than $50 on two full size bottles. So that's definitely a good way to go if you're on a budget, my friends. Casey says Florist Elite arrived for me the other day. Smells like the barbershop, best barbershop fragrance I've ever smelled. Florist does a very good job with the most of the fragrances. I'm a big fan of Florist. I've talked pretty highly about them quite a few times. They're really underrepresented. They have a lot of history. Florist has been around for a long time, just like Penhaligon's. Again, Penhaligon's are pretty underrepresented and not talked about too much in the YouTube fragrance world, or I guess the fragrance community as a whole. They have a lot of rich history, and so does Florist. And I really like the Leather Oud. That's my favorite, but I also am a big fan of Saphiro. I do think that Saphiro from Florist perhaps leans a little bit more towards that metro unisex, maybe even slightly feminine side. A lot of guys these days would be comfortable with wearing it, but y'all know that I tend to like more masculine scents. But Saphiro smells absolutely gorgeous and smells of very high quality to my nose. So Saphiro from Florist, definitely good stuff. Let's see here. And thanks for mentioning Florist. I sometimes forget to mention them. I do wish more people would give Florist a chance. Can you recommend a good summertime Xerjoff? I haven't tried all the Xerjoffs. I've only tried a few. and I kind of judge the whole house based on a few, which is a very bad thing to do. I want to get more into Zerzhov. I want to maybe find a few that I love. Neo is one of the ones that people would recommend. Probably Neo is probably the one of the from the house is probably the best pure citrus fragrance as far as I know. Also, there's Renaissance, which I'm a big fan of. Is more of like a minty, almost like an aromatic scent, and also is gorgeous if you like mint and you want something a little bit fresher that way. So yeah, you might want to check out Neo. Honestly, I tried it and I do think it's nice, but I wasn't really that impressed for the price. They're also very pricey, and I just have a hard time with any fragrance that it's that expensive. And again, I prefer more of the heavy scents, the richer scents, the gourmands, and the fall winter scents. So paying that much money for something that smells like a citrus, like kind of like lemons and grapefruits and bergamot to me, to me personally, it's hard for me to justify that. But check out Herzog Neo. Dean says, when you think about it, there's only, say, 10 fragrances that are masterpieces and must haves, and everything else is just to play them and not as good. Yeah, but masterpieces, I think, I mean, there's a few fragrances out there that are really um, established. There's only a few fragrances that a lot of the professionals or, I guess, fragrance community as a whole really recognizes as very well done fragrances. Eau Sauvage is one of them. Fahrenheit is one of them. But there's not, but it's really hard to list 10 of them. And I would never suggest that those are must haves and that the rest are really just playthings and not that great. To me, somebody's fragrance journey is very personal. And I want people to find fragrances that they truly love and that connects to them. You might, I think, again, I'll say that a lot of people might connect and might love something really popular like Aqua de Gio or Dior Sauvage or whatever it might be. And that's fine. You might love that fragrance and it might be special to you. But I think that, and hopefully I'm an influence encouraging people to find fragrances that they personally love. And there's a lot of fragrances out there. There's a lot of beautiful creations. And you might find something that really works for you. And I just want more people to find fragrances that they like. I really I'm not going to make a list like that. And I really dislike it when people say that these are masterpieces and everything else is bad, or you have to have these fragrances. I don't like when that kind of stuff is that kind of lingo, kind of talk is going on. But Casey says it's funny how changing environments and social occasions versus work, day night, can react to how the fragrance exactly your body temperature and the temperature outside, the humidity, your emotions can probably affect your body heat and all those different things. Yeah, it's definitely a big factor in how the fragrance acts and how the fragrance is constructed. You know, that is a big factor and definitely is something to be aware of. So that's a great point, Casey. Cyanoxide says Zerzhov Neo. That's the one, Zerzhov Neo. Dean says funny too because most of the masterpieces are from the 80s and 90s and under 100. It's true. That's funny. A lot of the fragrances that are really recognized as being really special are not even, some of these high-end niche fragrances. Fragrances that are, in the 80s and the 90s. And I'm not completely on the side of vintage, but there is something to say with the complexity. Back then, there was less regulation, and people who were making perfumery perhaps were focused a little bit more on the creativity and the art of and the beauty of fragrances instead of making something that was going to appeal to everybody in a crowd and that kind of thing. And again, I'm not beating up on those fragrances, but as far as craftsmanship and that kind of work that goes into a fragrance. A lot of the designers back in the day did a really good job. I'm not into Koros, but I know a lot of people like Koros. I think Anateus is absolutely fantastic. Koros is absolutely a stunner, and there's a lot of good ones out there. So I wasn't digging pure malt too much though, too heavy and sweet. I wore it out on a party, and I really liked the way it developed. Exactly. I think that's more of a nighttime wear fragrance. If you go easy on the trigger, and maybe if it's a fall, winter, maybe even a spring day. I don't know what temperatures or where you live, my friend, but you can definitely rock that fragrance. And it is a little bit different. It has some chili to it. It's boozy. It might come off as a little bit woody if you haven't smelled a lot of woody scents. But once you get used to it, I think that pure malt is pretty likable. And that's another thing for us fragrance reviewers to remember. You know, pure malt might be challenging for some people who've never smelled patchouli or woody scents or boozy scents. I mean, that pure malt has it all going. It has boozy, again, woody nuances and patchouli nuances, and that might be challenging for somebody like me. Pure malt is it's just a regular fragrance, and it's not. I don't even have to think about it. If I want to wear it, I just think it's a normal fragrance. But it's good for us fragrance reviewers and people who are enthusiasts like myself to remember that we're all at a different place and we're all on a fragrance journey. So we can't forget, can't forget that. I hear good things about that one. Yeah, exactly. Pure Malt is pretty good. Portrayal Man versus Fahrenheit. Honestly, I haven't tried Portrayal Man yet. It's on my list. I really, really want to try it. I'm From what I hear, Portrayal Man is a little bit more leathery to dry down, and smells a little bit linear. Some people weren't very did I don't think Portrayal Man was very well received, and I guess it's just because it has that violet, that's really strong quality about it. But I'd like to try it. It might be something I really like. Just like music and movies, etc. Because 15, 20 years ago, go watch a movie nowadays, totally a joke. Seems to me like fragrances would be the same. Yeah, Dean, it's all a machine, and it's all about the consumer. You're trying to appeal to the most common denominator, the average person, and music is kind of has become the same way. There's no real motivation besides personal pride and of create for a music or a movie company or just about anything artistic if they can sell the most, if they just make a more generic or more I don't know, likable to the average person kind of product. If there's not a big market or a lot of people who are demanding that, demanding those products or demanding those things, it's just not going to be made. And that's one reason I've tried to speak a little bit against mass appealing niche, but it's probably going to be a trend. Lots of people are buying more easy to wear niche, a niche that smells a little bit just like higher end designer fragrances, with extra quality and fancy packaging and stuff. And it's probably going to be a trend in the future. There's probably going to be more and more niche brands that try to cater towards the masses. And I don't want to say that's a bad thing, and I don't want to make a moral argument or anything like that. But for me, who cares about creativity and uniqueness and all that, that's not something I'm optimistic about. But hey, you can't blame the creators. I really dislike most movies, like what you were just talking about. I really dislike a lot of movies for that reason. There's the same tropes, the same cliches, the same things repeated over and over and over. And if people don't demand anything different, they're just going to do it forever. They're going to do it for the next 100 years. If people, don't, choose with their pocketbooks. So that's how it goes. Lacoste Essential versus Ed Hardy's Love and Luck. I honestly don't know much about those fragrances. I mean, you might enjoy them for the money. Again, don't let me discourage you from your own fragrance journey, but I probably would say, go and try it maybe like a Bulgari, or maybe, maybe test out maybe one of those Aqua de Gios and see if one of those works for you. But Lacoste Essentials, for as far as I can tell, is like a light citrusy scent, maybe an aromatic, and it just doesn't last very long. Ed Hardy's Love and Luck, I think I might have smelled it, but it was a long time ago. It just didn't do anything for me, and I don't really remember much about it. I'm pretty sure I have smelled that one, but it just didn't stick out in my memory. Cyan Oxide says Lacoste Optimistic is the only frag that I ever got a compliment on. And that's another interesting topic with compliments. Everybody It really depends on where you live, what kind of position you are. If you're a teacher, if you're a nurse, if you have a position of status, you're much more likely to actually get a compliment. And I do get compliments, but I don't want to make it out, and I don't want y'all to think that I get compliments left and right. Every time I walk out the door, it's not that I'm getting a compliment every day. It really depends on the situation, what I'm looking at, who I talk to, who I meet. Again, I live in a little bit more of a rural place, and I don't go out that often. And with the Rona and everything going on, I and me myself included, a lot of us just weren't going out and meeting that many people. But the world is getting a little bit back to normal. So, hey Duncan, how you doing? Happy to see you. How's it going this evening? Casey says I'm at 15 fragrances, so each one gets 2 wears a month. I need to pump the brakes. Exactly. You know, again, you might see me or other fragrance reviewers who have hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of fragrances. I only have like 80 or so, or with my decants and odd things, maybe 90. I don't have 100 yet. But you might be tempted to think you need that many fragrances. Again, if you have a lot of money and it depends on your fragrance journey, you might decide to go for 200, 300, 400, 500 fragrances. It all depends on you. But I think that the average person perhaps doesn't want that many fragrances and gets pulled into hype and buying things that maybe they don't like as much. Again, try to find fragrances that you connect with and that you really love, and buy those fragrances because you like them and not because somebody told you you had to have them or that you should have them. So I probably got to go soon, guys. I know that I haven't been on here for very long, but I think I need to go. And I'm probably going to wrap this up really quick. Every new fragrance will be like a toy boy going forward. Yeah, I haven't smelled that fragrance but from the looks of it, I'm not crazy about it. And it's not something I'd be interested in. If you're looking at Toy Boy, I would suggest you get Monsar Cedra Boise and scoop it up for $80, and I think you'd be happier. But again, some people seem to like it. It's not something I'm into. Indie is blowing up huge, and artisan. Yeah, it's a big opportunity. A lot of people, because niche is becoming more designer like, that's leaving a void and a lot of opportunity in the indie market for actual creativity and people who are actually willing to take a risk. What am I wearing today? What did I wear? Um, what's that fragrance? I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember. I tested something out this morning. If y'all watch my lives, I'm wearing some Versace Pour Homme, and I sprayed something else on my hand. I'm testing. I can't even remember what it. I can't remember what it is right now. It smells a little bit coffee like, I think. But Sebastian says just did a video explaining the differences between designer niche and artisanal. That's a good topic. Sebastian just does a good job talking about those fragrant chats and some of those topics. I'm not sure if he used to do them in the past, but I was one of the guys that really started these fragrance discussions. And more kudos to him. I respect him, but I do like to think that I'm being a good influence because at least as far as I could tell, and I watched Smelling Great, Sebastian over there pretty diligently. I don't remember him doing content like that before I started my channel. So Casey says 2 to 300 fragrances means wears once or twice a year. Yeah, and especially if you forget about them, or you misplace a fragrance, or maybe you have a personal favorite fragrance that you wear a couple times a year. You have fragrances that you might not even wear once a year. That's a lot of fragrances, and then your fragrances can go bad. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of expense. But I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry that I wasn't on here very long this evening. I'll try to do an extra long one next Friday or Saturday. I just got to roll. It says that's not how it works, Case. You find your favorites you wear more often. Exactly. I think that sometimes, depending on the season, you might limit yourself to what you wear. You might find a personal favorite, and you might. But I agree with Casey's point, though. If you have 300 fragrances, it's very, very hard to actually watch a lot of those fragrances. Um, Let's see. I wore Armani Eau Pour Homme. It's old school citrus. It's not dated at all. Yeah, a lot of those fragrances are not dated. A lot of them smell really good. I still like a lot of those 90s vibe fragrances with patchouli and all of that. So Duncan says Trump. No, that's not why I'm getting off. I for some reason I think that I need to. I feel like I need to. I'm not going to watch that if that's what y'all are curious about. And so, but more kudos to you if you are. I respect. Anyways, I'll see you everybody. Wear what you love, rock what you got. I'm sorry if I disappointed y'all. Feel free to message me anytime, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, or email me if you really need to, and I'll definitely chat and talk with y'all anytime, anywhere. Have a good one, everybody. Have a great week. Be safe, be well. And I'm sorry that our live was short a little bit. And hopefully I didn't disappoint any of y'all. Thanks for the live stream. Yes, we had a really good time, and I hope that in the future I can get to the point where I actually have Wi-Fi, and maybe I can get one of those webcams, and maybe I can actually hang out with y'all a little bit longer and make things look a little bit more presentable. And I certainly hope that I can. But I'll see you next time, everybody. Wear what you love, rock what you got, be smelling good. And I'm sorry if I'm talking fast. I hope that y'all like that. I actually like that I can really, really roll and speak kind of quickly. But I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one. Bye. Peace out. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.